So I've seen a lot of videos pop up on this topic lately. Does God pick your husband or your wife? Does God pick your spouse? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give you my Daniella Shama Rose opinion. Now, listen, I'm not famous. I don't have a huge ministry. I'm not up here with stage and spotlight, okay? I'm just a little old Canadian gal who loves God with my whole heart. And honestly, I handed over the pen. I gave God permission to write my love story, and through that, I've seen just how faithful He is. So that's where I'm coming from, not with a perfect life or all the answers, definitely not, but with a heart that's been held by God in the waiting. If you're wondering whether He's writing your love story too, just keep watching. Okay, so let's start here. There are basically two main schools of thought. One says that yes, God has one specific person for you and He will reveal it in His time. The other says God gives you free will to choose, but He offers guidance through Holy Spirit and His Word and wisdom. Honestly, I think it's a little of both. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." This includes relationships. God might not always drop a name from heaven, but He will lead you when you are surrendered to Him. You say, God, I want your help in this. Please lead me to my spouse. He will. He did for me. I'm certain He will for you. Now let's look at some biblical receipts because yes, there are examples in the Bible where God clearly led people to their spouses. Adam and Eve, God literally created Eve for Adam and brought her to him. No dating apps, no confusion, just divine design. I just love this story. Abraham's servant prayed a very specific prayer, and God answered exactly as he asked. Rebecca wasn't just beautiful, okay? She had the heart posture that God was looking for. Ruth and Boaz, okay? God didn't speak audibly here, but He lined things up through Ruth's obedience and humility. Her faithfulness is what positioned her right where Boaz would see her. And there's more. Jacob and Rachel, a love story marked by pursuit and patience. Esther and King Ahasuerus, classic, a divine union that saved a nation. Isaiah and Gomer, a picture of redeeming love even in brokenness. Oh, I love it. God is a romantic too, people. And in all these stories, we see God's hand moving. It was loud and miraculous, sometimes quiet and subtle, but always intentional. And here's the thing, even with all these beautiful stories, free will still matters. God is not out here just forcing people into marriages, okay? You have a choice, and that's part of what makes love so beautiful. Deuteronomy 30:19 says, I have set before you life and death, blessing and curses. Now choose life. And that applies in love too. Just because you feel a strong emotional connection with someone doesn't mean that they're God's best for you. We can feel things for people that are completely wrong for us, as I'm sure you are well aware. God will never force you into a relationship, but what He will do is He will lead you. He will tell you when something's off, and He will give you peace when something is right. It's the same in dating. God can show you red flags and green lights, but He will not override your choices. And that's why surrender matters. When you've given God the pen, He's going to guide you, but you still get to say yes or no. So God literally told me when He was going to be bringing my husband into my life a few months before He actually brought him in and led me to Him. And He told me exactly what summer activities we would be doing together, like canoeing and hiking, and it was amazing. He told me it was going to be the summer romance that I longed for, and I tell you, it came to pass exactly as He said it would. And I already knew in my spirit, there was just this release in my spirit after years of waiting for God to lead me to my husband. And I just knew that the time was now, that he was going to bring me to him. And let me tell you about Joyce Meyer. Now, I know everybody has their own opinion about her, but this part of her story is powerful. Now, before she became the preacher that we know today, she was a single mom and carrying all kinds of wounds from her past. She actually met Dave Meyer while she was washing her car, of all things. And she actually says she was still wearing her short shorts. But, anyways, Dave ended up asking if she could wash his car too. Joyce looked right at him and said something like, "If you want your car washed, wash it yourself." And David said that right then he knew that she was the girl for him. So, a little backstory here. Dave had actually been praying for a wife. He had been actively seeking a wife, and he was specifically asking God for somebody that needed help. And I find that incredible. He wasn't looking for perfection. He was looking for someone to love and support through healing. And he saw Joyce, strong, broken, feisty, called, and he felt God's peace in pursuing her. And look, it wasn't a thunderbolt from heaven, right? Dave, you are to marry Joyce. No, it was a choice. It was a prayer. It was a deep peace and an openness to love someone fully, past and all. Listen, Joyce didn't beg God, "Please send me a husband." And Dave didn't force it either. Both leaned in with open hearts, and God brought them together. And that's what it looks like when we invite God into the process without handing over our freedom. It's partnership with Him, it's wisdom and surrender working together. And while we're here, let me just say this, let me just tackle this, because so many of you have messaged me and said, "Daniella, I feel like I'm supposed to marry this guy. He's a good guy, he's a good Christian man, but I'm just not into him." And a lot of times your parents or your church community are encouraging it, and they're saying, "It's a great fit." I hear you. But I just want to lovingly remind you that just because somebody is a good person or even a godly person does not mean that they're God's best for you. Compatibility on paper is not the same thing as divine alignment. You're going to be excited to say yes. There's going to be attraction. You're going to feel peace. You won't be sitting in a corner or filled with dread, telling yourself, "I'll do this to honor you, God," because that's actually fear in disguise, not obedience. God's best won't make you feel like you're giving up your joy to do the holy thing. When it's from Him, it may stretch you. Okay, yes, that's true. But it will not feel like your life is being drained out of you, okay? His blessings come with peace. Proverbs 10:22 says, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." God doesn't want a reluctant yes that comes from pressure. He wants a heart-filled, joyful agreement. And I'm not going to go into specifically how to know that they're the one that God has for you in this video, because I have many different videos on that you can dive into. But I will say this, God will let you know. Pay attention to peace. So, does God pick your husband or your wife? Here's what I believe. Unless you are called to singleness, God has designed a perfect fit for you. God prepares hearts, He aligns paths, He gives peace. He confirms through His Spirit and the Word. And if you ask Him to, He will lead you to that person. But He also gives dignity of choice, and your job is to walk closely with Him and to trust the process. I'm the kind of person that you're praying for, and to let Him lead you one step at a time. We want God's plan A for our lives, don't we? And so we would be fools not to include Him in this decision, one of the most important decisions of our lives. We marry just like any other area, our careers, our callings, our families, this too belongs in His hands. Yes, God gives us free will. You can choose whoever you want, but I knew that I did not just want anyone. I wanted the one that God had designed for me, my Adam. And though I can tell you it wasn't always easy, choosing to wait for God's best instead of settling for what was acceptable was worth the wait. I tell you, it was 1,000 times over, 1,000 times over worth the wait. And so I tell you, my friend, He is not late, and He is not silent, and He has not forgotten you. Stay surrendered, stay expectant, and keep trusting the one who writes the very best love stories. See you in the next one. Blessings and love.